Carolyn Nichols, certified holistic nutritionist here at the Energy Shack to give you truths that you need to know about calcium. This is quite a hot topic these days, especially for those who are crossing over that 50 threshold. As you know, or maybe you didn't know, our body, especially as we cross over 50, begins to deplete its ability to absorb nutrients, especially calcium. And the problem with that in many senses, of course, is that as women, especially get into menopause, you actually need more calcium. So you probably, if you are middle-aged, may have heard from your doctors that, as you get to that age, you have to start taking calcium supplements, or you need to increase your dairy products. You've got to get more calcium fortified food. I am here to debunk that myth, because the truth is, yes, as you cross through that threshold, for sure your body loses or diminishes its ability to absorb calcium and you need more, but there's a great way to get calcium and the proper way to get calcium. So first of all, if you're taking calcium supplements, I don't want to tell you to take them or not take them, but I do want you to understand that manufactured calcium that you get fortified in cereals, fortified inside your orange juice or in your milks or all of those things, that calcium and those that come in a supplement is manufactured calcium. So it's not true calcium that comes from your food. It has a very, very, very low absorption rate. In fact, what happens to a lot of people is that when they are taking lots of calcium supplements, they end up being like, I've got some lumps in my chest, what is this going on? And believe it or not, because I've had the experience with some of my clients, they find out that they have these calcium deposits, because if you're not eating enough fiber-rich foods or drinking enough water, those deposits sit in your system because it's very difficult for your body to absorb calcium from a bottle, and I mean a vitamin bottle. Speaking of bottles, baby bottles, some may be concerned that their children may not be getting enough calcium or their babies are not getting enough calcium. Where can we get calcium? Is calcium that important? It is so essential for most every function in the human body, for your muscles to contract, for protein absorption. Almost everything requires some sort of reaction where calcium is used. So it is vitally important that you and I get enough calcium. So first of all, I want to let you know that I have been plant-based for over 20 years, and I do make sure I get my levels checked. And my calcium is perfect, and I do not take any kind of supplements. I have children that are now much older than babies. They're young adults. They did not grow up on dairy products, and their calcium levels are great. How does this happen? And how does it happen that I will meet a client who's having lots of dairy products, but yet their bones are brittle, osteoporosis? What's going on here? Let me tell you a couple truths that you need to know about calcium. Number one, absorption. So first of all, understand, this is science back behind everything, is that the calcium you get from dairy products, about 30% of that can be absorbed in your body. And I would say that that is a rather high absorption. How do they test that? They test that with how much is coming out of the urine. So these are actual tests, studies that are done on calcium. And where are we getting 50% or more absorption of calcium? You got it. Green leafy vegetables. So when you're eating your broccoli, your collard greens, those have extremely high calcium absorption. It is very difficult for your body to take calcium out of the breast milk of a mother cow, because I don't know if you've looked in the mirror lately, but you and I, we ain't cows. So this is not calcium that our body actually recognizes as food, as nutrients. So there is a lot of science behind that, but the truth is that your body and my body has a very hard time getting the calcium, usable calcium out of dairy products, but your body can absorb and use so much more calcium out of your green leafy vegetables. So number two, what I want you to understand is, where are good sources? Where can I find good sources of calcium? Do you know, in 1 tablespoon of seeds, so your chia seeds, your poppy seeds, your sesame seeds, in 1 tablespoon of seeds, you are gonna get anywhere from 10 to 13, sometimes 15%, depending on the seed, of your recommended daily intake of calcium. Just 1 tablespoon, can you imagine? So if that sesame seeds ground into tahini, that's another great source. Your almonds. Almonds are a fantastic source of calcium. Again, 1 ounce of almonds, you're talking about 13% of your recommended daily intake. What else is super high in calcium? Believe it or not, all of your beans, your lentils, your kidney beans, your chickpeas, these are extremely high in calcium. So now we're talking closer to 25% of your recommended daily intake. You know what else is very high? Is your green leafy vegetables. The quarter amount of the amount of calcium that you need every day is found in 1 cup of collard greens. Can you believe that? In a broccoli, the stem has so much calcium. Stop throwing that away. So beautiful broccoli trees, your green leafies, your spinach, your Swiss chard, your kale. Remember that you can cook these without losing their calcium absorption or the calcium content. So it's much actually easier to absorb that calcium when you actually cook your greens. Don't start eating raw kale and raw collard greens. Cook them, enjoy them, and I gotta tell you that your body will absorb it. You know what else is super high in calcium? Is tofu. And if you have some health issues that don't allow you to eat tofu, you don't have to have it, because you can eat your beans, your grains, your millet, your quinoa, your buckwheat. We're talking about almost 15% of your recommended daily intake in 1 cup of those grains. Very, very, very high in calcium for a grain as well. So tofu, just back to that one, if you get a non-genetically modified tofu, are you ready? 1 cup of tofu, so you've chopped up those blocks, maybe you sauteed it, maybe you blended it in a smoothie or something like that. 85% of your recommended daily intake is in that. Now understand that a lot of that, of course, comes naturally from the bean, but also tofu is generally fortified with calcium. But it's still super, super high. So you can see that when you're eating a plant-based diet, you will get a lot of calcium just by eating. So you just, without even thinking, by eating along the 8 laws of health, you can have tons of calcium in your diet. And so now you can transpose that information to, what can I give my toddler, my child? The chickpeas and some of the grains you could start adding to their porridges in the morning. It's very easy. Start chopping up the greens inside their meals. It's very, very easy for calcium to be absorbed in their body through a plant-based diet. So the third thing I want to tell you is that the other problem with the whole calcium issue is a salt issue. Whenever we are eating processed foods, whenever we're eating these meats and cheeses and anything from a package, potato chips, I mean, those are plant-based, but super high in salt. Whenever you're eating high sodium products, the way the body gets rid of that extra sodium is calcium. It needs to pull calcium with it. That's the reaction, the chemical reaction that's made in order for kidneys to flush out that sodium. So if you're eating a high sodium diet, you are depleting your body of calcium. If you are eating a high acidic food diet, so again, we're talking the meat, the cheeses, all of those things, then your body's being depleted of calcium as well, because calcium is super, super alkaline. So the way that it fixes an acidity issue is by releasing calcium from your bones and joints and releasing it into the bloodstream, so that acidity goes to an alkaline state. So this becomes a big, big problem. So I would highly recommend that you ditch the dairy, ditch the meat, start eating your green leafy vegetables, start having your wonderful beans, your grains. Lots of your fruits, including figs, are also very high in calcium. Enjoy your food. Really, you don't have to stop putting salt in your cooking. Just stop having processed foods with that extra salt in it. As well, for those who are members, you will find in your inbox a wonderful calcium-rich broth that you could drink at night that really starts to infuse some calcium into your bones and joints. And before I leave, I want to give you one last tip that can help you with calcium. Believe it or not, it has nothing to do with food. It is, for all people, not even just members today, exercise. The more you exercise, the greater the ability of the absorption of calcium into your bones. It is so important for you and I to make exercise a regular part of our daily routine. Vigorous exercise, a good power walk, lifting some weights, because once you start working the muscles, contracting that, the body starts pulling in more calcium in order to repair those muscles. So by eating a healthy plant-based diet, getting plenty of exercise, you should really never have to worry, even as you cross over 50, about your calcium loss or absorption.